The boroughs are New York City. The burbs are everywhere else. Real estate is the ultimate game of risk and reward. It's the biggest investment most people ever make. Fortunes are made over a lifetime and lost in a day. And we're not playing with monopoly money. How do you stay ahead? Who's buying? Who's selling? And why? What do they know? We want the truth. You need an edge. Boroughs and Burbs is your secret weapon, giving you the insider knowledge and strategies you need to succeed in the high-stakes world of real estate. From Palm Beach to Palm Springs, Manhattan to Malibu, we press the experts to expose the pain, find the deals, and occasionally predict the future. That's Boroughs and Burbs, Thursdays, 3 o'clock Eastern, noon Pacific. Because everyone can make money in real estate.
Welcome, everybody. Boroughs and Burbs, number 220. We're in season 6, and I'm your host, John Engel from New Canaan, Connecticut. I'm joined by my co-host, Roberto Cabrera. Say hello, Roberto.
I'm on the Upper West Side, but let's just point out that John is in a car because he's driving back from Manhattan, where he's gotten oodles of awards from Douglas Elliman for his performance because he's a superstar. Look, he's even red. He's even red. And yesterday was your birthday. I can't believe I forgot.
Thank you for pointing that out to the online world.
It's important. You do very well. You're a very astute man. You do tremendous business. You got a heck of a wife. You got a great team. And congratulations. It's fabulous.
Well, on this important occasion, I went into the city because that's where we get our business in the suburbs. Whether you're in Connecticut or you're in Wellington, Florida, really the center of the universe is still New York City. As goes New York City, so go the suburbs, whether they're Florida suburbs or Connecticut suburbs. I'm really excited about today's show. I've heard of Wellington because we've got a lot of equestrian superstars in the horse farms of North Salem, Westchester, South Salem, Greenwich. So a lot of those people who spend the summers in Westchester County spend the winters down in Wellington, Florida. So this show is long overdue. I want to introduce our two special guests from Wellington, Martha Jolicoeur and Mark Norman. So Martha, say hello.
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 Thank you for having us.
So glad to have you on the show. Tell us a little bit about where you are and how you got started and how long have you been in the business?
You want me to go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm actually originally from Westport, Connecticut. I lived in Manhattan for a while, and I've been coming to Wellington, Florida since it was conceived. It was actually Palm Beach Polo. The first year I came here, the first year of the horse show was 1979. And we were riding just across the street on a field, and I remember that it rained and they had to get a swimming pool pump to pump everything off of the field. Now this is very sophisticated. We have people coming from all countries. But I started in real estate. I was living on a horse farm in Virginia. And
in Middleburg?
Near Middleburg, outside of Middleburg and Culpeper. But I started real estate in Middleburg. My husband said that the horse business wasn't big enough for both of us and I should find something else to do. And I love horse farms and I like real estate. So in 1991, I got my license. And so I would work in Middleburg all during the year, but in the winter, every winter, we would come to Wellington to compete. And I started watching as Wellington started to grow. And I knew a lot of people here in the horse business. My parents had bought a house in Palm Beach Polo, which Mark will tell you all about Palm Beach Polo. He's an expert. And I thought to myself, you know what? I think I could do okay down there in real estate. My daughter was getting old enough that she should stay in one school instead of ripping her out. She was in 8th grade. So we sold the farm in Virginia and moved to Wellington. And I got my license and started working right away here.
So Wellington, it sounds to me like you got there at the very beginning, 1979, when it was just a suburb of Palm Beach. But in the last 50 years, it's grown into a very specialized community known worldwide for the equestrian community. Is that right?
Yes, it's known across the world as the winter equestrian capital of the world. So we have people coming from all over the world, and for jumping and even the kids doing the equitation and hunters, but also we have high gold polo and we have dressage. So the only thing we don't have yet is Western.
How far are you from Palm Beach? And it sounds to me like while you were a suburb at one time, really the only thing you share today is an airport, right?
We're about from West Palm, I'd say.
Well, we're from the island of Palm Beach. We're about 13 miles away. We are
Okay.
directly west of, we're 11 miles from the airport, where Palm Beach is just a couple of miles from the airport going east. We're going west from the airport 11 miles. So you'll see that we are, if you zoom that in, you will be able to see the map. You'll see Wellington there in the letters. Wellington is approximately 20,000 acres of land, which makes up the incorporated village of Wellington. We're about, right now, we're averaging about 65,000 residents in Wellington and about 24,000 households.
And I looked up that the average household, the median household, is somewhere around $700,000, $800,000, $900,000, somewhere in that. Is that about
Well,
accurate?
it's a little bit lower than that if you incorporate all of Wellington. When you get into the higher end luxury market, yeah, you're going to get a much higher dollar amount. But Wellington being the size that it is, it's a bedroom. It started as a bedroom community back in the 70s, and then it evolved into a equestrian destination. In fact, in the late 70s, 78, 79, an investor from Gould Corporation out of Chicago came and started what is now known as the Palm Beach Polo and Country Club. He was the individual that really introduced equestrian to this area by the means of polo. And then eventually he decided or asked the equestrian world, the jumpers, the hunters, to join. And it's really, like Martha said, it started out as one show barn and probably 20 some stalls, and now has grown into a major event where we'll have 8,000 horses come, people from 33 different countries. So as from the late 70s, early 80s, this area has really evolved in a mecca of equestrian events.
And what time of year is this polo event that you're talking about?
Pardon?
You talked about a polo event. What time of year is that?
Well, polo runs, polo will start about the beginning of January, the end of December, beginning of January, and it goes through the month of April. And then the horse show starts in January as well, and goes to the end of March. But there are some equestrian events on the shoulder season as well. But the major events are during about the 13 weeks or 14 weeks of the season.
And Mark, what was your history? How did you get there?
Well, I was born and raised in Ohio, but I ended up working for the resort business and industry. And I worked in Stuart, Florida, which is probably about 40 miles north of here, for the Sandpiper Bay Resort. And then eventually I was asked to come to the Palm Beach Polo and Country Club to work there. And then it was set up as a resort, the country club. And I ended up running the resort from approximately, I came in 1986, and I ran the resort from about 1987, 88 to 94. And then in 1994, the real estate division of the Palm Beach Polo Club asked me to join them. So I did. So I joined the real estate department in 94 and have been working in real estate ever since.
And what was their mission, that organization?
The Palm Beach Polo and Country Club was really designed to be a resort,
Mhm.
and then also offer country club amenities. But as time went on, the country club basically took over, and the members started to grow, and they decided it would be better to evolve more as a country club and less as a resort. So the resort kind of dissipated in 94, 95. And then that's my reasoning from jumping over from the resort area over to real estate development, because it was more of a real estate development instead of a resort.
So how has the property mix, like what sort of property mix do we find there now as opposed to in the 80s, for example, the 90s?
Well, the density has changed quite a bit as far as the housing. Originally, at the beginning there were more villas and condos that made up the country club, and that was going to continue on. But as more and more people started to come and the club became more and more popular, they decided to change that density and start developing more single family homes, and then it evolved into estate homes. So it just kind of organically changed how it was from the beginning to what it is today.
Can I add one thing? I think the reason that they started to build the larger homes is because the season became longer. Originally, the polo and horse shows, they ran together, starting like even started
Yeah.
later, like in February till the end of March. And then the developers started to realize that we could come sooner. It was better for the horses to adjust to the weather, and it was nice for us to be away from the cold, and it just worked better. So then we started coming down in November, December, and now because of tax reasons and all other reasons, people are coming to Florida to spend the full 6 months minimum here. So it's grown and the houses have gotten bigger.
So let me ask you something. Before, what were the plot sizes like, the land size, and compare it, for example, for the smaller houses versus you're talking about larger houses now. Are those on an acre of land? Are they on half an acre?
Well,
Like,
it depends.
Not that much.
If yeah, it's a lot of it were multifamily units, like condominiums, but also it's the equestrian world kind of started in the what was the Palm Beach Polo and Country Club, but then Wellington as well. Incorporates all of the equestrian, because you have the Equestrian Preserve, which is about 9,000 acres. The Palm Beach Polo and Country Club is about 2,000 acres, and then the remaining are more uh, bedroom community homes and neighborhoods, and then shopping and restaurants and things like that. So it kind of evolved. Originally, there were smaller plots, maybe a quarter of an acre, and when you got into the single family homes, and then it went into a third of an acre, half an acre, and some incidences an acre. And then when you get out further, then you have the 2.5 acre, 4 acre, 5 acre, 10 acre plots in the farm district sections of the Wellington. So we have a variety, and we do have some neighborhoods in Wellington now where there's an acre, half an acre where people come and live. So it's kind of evolved into what it was when I came in 1986. There were approximately 6,000 residents in Wellington. Now there's about 65,000 residents in Wellington.
so is there vacant land to buy? Or do you, if you do buy land, you're actually raising a house and then building something new?
Well, no, there's both. We're kind of there's It's interesting that we're kind of finding ourselves in a phase where people are buying some of the homes that are 30 some years old, and then they're raising them and then building new on an existing plats and lots.
So
So that we're kind of for experiencing that now.
do you guys feel that you have inventory to sell, or is it a tight market, or there's lots to see, or what is it? What's
Well,
the,
I'll let you start that.
Yeah, I would say now we have inventory. We have more inventory than we've had in a while, which is creating a bit of competition. So now we're starting to see, if the house has been completely redone and everything is new, and it's priced competitively, that's the first house to go. The house that's priced with a price from 2 years ago and was refinished back in 2017, not as quick to sell. And then right now there's choices for the buyers.
Yeah.
And this is the first time we've had.
Yeah, well, since before COVID, we had experienced kind of this market. And then during COVID, we found that people were transitioning from up north to here to be here more permanently. So we went through a phase where we had very little or no inventory. And now it's kind of slowed, and that inventory is starting to grow again. So now we're experiencing kind of the market the way it was pre-COVID.
So
But then again, the fact that I'm sorry.
I've heard a couple different things. One, I heard that the market prices doubled from the pre-COVID till now. They doubled. And
Correct.
so that's caused a bit of the softness. Rising interest rates caused a bit of the softness that we're experiencing now. And the average home is 90 to 100 days on market. And that's more typical. So it's a more balanced market. But that is looking at it with the lens of houses that have doubled in value in the last 6 years.
Correct.
My question for you is this. Do you talk about two different markets? One, I hear about 6,000 growing to 60,000. Many of those are small lots and condos. And yet there's a second market, what I call the luxury market, where they have big houses, big land, and it's what I'd call the resort market, the equestrian market. Do you have two markets? Some who come for the schools, the community, and to be related to the horse business, but others who come for just the season, and that's what I would call the luxury and ultra luxury market. Do you have two markets there, and do they behave the same way?
I would say that would be correct. We do have a big segment of people that come here for the schools, raise families, because it is a very family-oriented community. And some of the people that live here do commute to their jobs, sometimes an hour away, just so they can be part of this community and live here. So we have, out of the 24 plus thousand homes or households we may have in Wellington, if you take 1 year and go backwards, 873 of those homes sold during that year in Wellington. So that's a small amount. And then I would say only the under $1 million, that figure was out of that 870 some, 670 or so homes sold for under $1 million. And then you get into the 2 million plus, the more of the luxury market. And if I kind of eyeball it, and I would say the majority of that market, over $2 million, is related to people who come for the horse show or equestrian.
The parallel, say, in Greenwich, Connecticut, my world, is that we have waterfront, and then we have everybody else. And so what I hear you saying is that we have everybody else. 650 of the 800 sales are under $1 million, regular people like you and me. And then there's 150 of the super, what I'd call waterfront. What characterizes a waterfront or a super luxe? Is it the amount of acreage so that you can really your horse can really stretch its legs, or horse facilities? What constitutes, or is it location, being adjacent to the polo club?
So I like to speak on that because I say that value is measured in Wellington by the amount of steps you are from the Grand Prix arena. So people will pay a premium just to be walking distance from the horse show. And that really also saves them money from renting another stall at the horse show, from all of that. So yes, as close as you can get to the horse show. And sometimes the horse show is threatened to move. Now we're expanding to the back. It's opening up other neighborhoods. So the location is key, and people will fight to defend their location and what they own close to the horse show.
So if it moves, That's going to drastically swing some values.
It won't move.
Well, it's not leaving where it is, it's adding another, so they're moving one of the dressage and the special events is moving directly to the back of the horse show. So it makes an easier flow. The one neighborhood that could be affected would be Southfields, but they pretty much ship everywhere. So I think we're still keeping the front, we're gaining the back. I think what we're doing is adding more access.
Yeah.
But that just settled now. For the past 2 years, people have been wondering which way it's going and all of that.
Yeah, and then there's new development coming around the corner as well.
Yeah, we have to touch on that. And before we get to the new development, there's one interesting thing I think that sets Wellington apart from New Canaan, Greenwich. I'm from Fairfield County, is that the same family, the same group of people could be buying a horse farm, or they could be saying, oh, we need a larger house, or my daughter's old now, let's get her own condo, and they need staff housing as well. So there's a lot of movement around, even though they may stay in Wellington, they may buy and sell and trade, or a family member's coming. So it's not that the billionaire isn't buying a condo, because they may be. So that's different, I think, from other areas of the country, and it's interesting, and it makes being a realtor in Wellington a little bit nicer.
Do any people who live in Palm Beach also have a place in Wellington?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
To compete, because if you're riding, you need to be on your horse. A lot of times at 7 a.m. and it's exhausting to be getting up that early to come. And so they may have just a condo or a space.
Don't you just take your chopper over? Isn't that what
Yeah.
they do?
We're also
It
experiencing.
takes too long.
Well, people that have homes in farms in Wellington, they'll buy a condo on the beach to get away for a few days, just to have that Palm Beach and the beach experience. So they have both the best worlds in Palm Beach County.
Or the wife rides and the husband has a boat.
Right, and then he'll join a country club near Palm Beach. So it's quite unique, the situation we have in the real estate market that we have, that one family could buy multiple units, being in Wellington and in Palm Beach, or even in Jupiter. I mean, it's very unique and interesting.
Are there other equestrian places that you guys are competing with in Florida?
There's one new one in Ocala.
Which is south, right?
North.
No, north. It's
North.
North Orlando.
Yeah, no, Ocala's not so easy to get to, but they're running some big shows there with a lot of prize money. I think that some of the entries will go up there and compete. I think some people are buying farms up there because it's less expensive. You get more for your money. But at the same time, I think that these families that we're speaking of, where the kids are competing and the dad's got a boat, for them, Wellington is more appealing. So to me, it adds a little bit more for us, because you can live in Wellington, you can have a house here, and you can have your boat here, but the wife and you can travel up to Ocala for 2 weeks and compete at a different venue. So you almost get more for your money.
And how far north is that?
About 3.5 hours.
Okay. Can we see the map really closely? Like, I just want to kind of understand where this central part is that you were speaking of, and like the country club, and then where it's kind of grown.
I'd have to zoom in.
So where is this country club that initially started this whole?
Okay, take your arrow and go straight down.
Oh, here it is.
Right you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Right there.
It's like
the
a
Palm Beach Polo Country Club, right?
Yeah,
yeah, that's it.
Right
It's
there.
we know this shape because we outline this on the computer all the time.
So this is where the kind of the seed was planted.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. It's about like I said, about 2,000 acres, and presently there's about 1,400 residents inside that.
And what's
space.
nice about that club is that you could start out maybe with a condo that now it costs 500,000. They used to cost about 140,000, but they're about 500 some now. And then there was a house just sold a new construction for close to 18 million. So you can choose from all different types of housing within that same neighborhood and still have the amenities. There's a 5.5 mile track with a big preserve where you can walk your dogs. There's tennis courts, pickleball, gym.
On-site restaurant.
Two, yeah, one.
So what's on the other side of that South Shore Boulevard or whatever?
That's the rest of Wellington, pretty much normal housing.
So it kind of grew in that direction.
Yeah, right directly across the street, actually, they built some housing for the polo players originally. That's where Bedford Muse is. Those are now 5,600, 4 or 5, 6. And then there are also just regular neighborhoods, which we at Douglas Elliman do not deal with on a regular basis, I wouldn't say.
It's a small percentage of our business. We do deal with it, which is great, because some of our, like Martha had touched on before, that they'll buy homes for either people that work for them or for family members, and they'll venture out into Wellington and not necessarily be in the Palm Beach Polo Club. So that market is still a good market, and it's actually becoming a little bit more popular. We're finding little pockets in Wellington where people like to come here and spend time, and it may be their second, third, or fourth home, and they don't want to spend millions of dollars. But there are little really nice neighborhoods that they can get in for under $1 million and then have a resting place while they're here.
And it was interesting, I thought, when the market soared during COVID, the neighborhoods that had equestrians appreciated more quickly. Always. I mean, during COVID, actually, everything did. But before that, the neighborhoods that had equestrians appreciated more quickly. And it was a very fine line, and strange reasons. Maybe one rider bought a house there and then his friends did too as well. And all of a sudden you have a lot of equestrians living in the same neighborhood. Those houses began selling for more. We generally are cash buyers in that industry. If they're getting financing, they're getting it on the back end, and we're not very aware of it.
And that's one of the reasons that Palm Beach Polo became so popular and it has such a high value worth, is because of that same thing. People got in here, word of mouth started to spread. People of like mind, like kind, who are involved in equestrian, they all want to live together in the same spot, and it just grew, and it just became quite amazing how that happened, how the polo club evolved into what it is today.
I call it La La Land.
Yeah,
because it's not always a rhyme and reason. If somebody redoes like an old villa, but they do a wonderful job on the renovation and it's all slicked out and ready to go, and all you need is your toothbrush and your riding boots, sometimes people pay double the price of what it used to be a year ago, but that then becomes a comp, because then that's closed and then the next person. And so a lot of riders on the side actually have invested. They do nice design work. They've traveled all over the world, so they'll buy one, redo it, flip it, do another one.
Yeah,
it's a little bit of a science.
Yeah, because people who have the money and spend the money, they don't have the time to navigate that with architects, designers, builders, contractors to do that. When they leave, they're off to another circuit and they're off to another part of the world, and they don't have time or the effort to oversee that. So if they see something that's already done, they'll snap it up and then just call it home.
Has there been foreign buyers?
Yes. 33 different countries, but yes.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The colder the country, the longer they stay.
Any notable people?
What happens after the season? It sounds to me like it's moved from a seasonal, and the season grew longer.
Correct.
And then it evolved into great schools and a year-round community.
Absolutely.
So if I come down there, if I am a horse person, if I own a horse and I bring my horse early November and I stay for the season, does my horse remain and then I leave and I go to Nantucket? Or do I actually leave with my horse and go travel around the country to other events?
That's a good question. That's a great question, John. As soon as the horse show finishes, you'll see a very big outflux. I mean, it's just dust and dirt left behind, and people take their horses and they're on to the next competition right away. That said, a lot of the riders and riding families said, we spend the most nights a year in Wellington, so I'm going to buy a place there. So some of the children of competitors or children involved in the sport, they have to stay here to finish the school year, which is over in May and starts in August. So there are a lot of families here from August till May for the school year.
Mhm.
But the horses leave, and the climate is quite hot here in the summer. It's not a lot of competition going on.
Yeah, exactly. Our temperature raises it to the 90s during the summer, but you know, around 65,000 residents, people call Wellington home for at least 6 months of the year. During the season, that 65,000 population almost doubles when you have people come in renting that are associated with the horse show in some form or fashion. So that just completely doubles, and you can feel it during the season. And then during the off season, it kind of settles back to normal life. But we are so happy that they do come, and Palm Beach County is very happy they do, because they bring about $536 million in revenue to Palm Beach County during that short period of time. And they generate about 4,900 extra jobs. So it's very unique, and we're very happy to have that situation, that all that influx comes our way.
What are
It's
the
nice to-
schools
What's the-
like where you are? Sorry, John. What are the schools like where you are? Is private primarily that people go to, or?
Mix. There's a mix. There's a school that kind of caters to equestrian children here. And then there's all the public schools are A-rated. There's a school nearby, a private school called King's Academy. And then in the not too distant future, another private school will be coming here as well. It's a private school that they have schools in Switzerland, UK, and Singapore.
When's that going to be?
And that's going to be
You did
coming.
the commute.
Yeah, so that's going to be coming probably in the next couple years,
Yeah,
as well. So it's a mix. And then also some Wellington kids will go to neighboring towns,
yeah.
private
We
schools.
drive pretty much to Delray, Boca, and Palm Beach for the private
Palm
schools.
Beach Gardens, yeah. So they'll drive 30, 45 minutes to a private school out of Wellington.
Mhm.
Oh.
How important is it? Is it a clubby town? How important is it that I belong to the club? And sort of a related question is, what is the mix of renting versus owning? Roberto's market is 80% rentals,
70.
and my market is 90% own, 10% rentals. What's the mix in Wellington?
Well, the majority is going to be owners.
Okay.
I don't have a percentage. Would you
No,
know?
but we do a lot of seasonal rentals, and a lot of people will buy units to rent them seasonally. So we have a lot of seasonal rentals, but I would say the majority are owners. Aren't that many?
Yeah, I would say the majority are definitely owners.
At least that we do.
They'll come visit and rent first, and once they've been here a year or two, then they're converted into buyers pretty easily, pretty quickly.
And how dependent is it on being a member of the club, and how hard is it to get into the club? Some communities, they say, I'll meet you at the club, and that's where we lunch, that's where we socialize, that's where all the activity, revolves around the club. But it occurs to me that you've gone from 6,000 to 60,000, and not everybody is a member of the Polo Club.
The Polo Club is no longer a club, so it's just a neighborhood now.
Yeah, but there are surrounding country clubs.
Wanderers Club,
Yeah.
and the National Polo Center.
Right, and they'll travel even 30 some minutes to another club, like Trump International
For golf.
and then they have the club amenities.
But Wellington's been friendly. It was not hard to get into a club. You did not need letters. I will say now we're getting a big influx of people, and West Palm's becoming a booming metropolis, and now it's getting harder to get into the private schools. And now you have a wait on a golf membership. But this is not an area where you needed 5 letters to get in or a difficult.
Yeah,
which was nice.
You're going to need at least 2.
Only NPC, and now they don't really have members, so I don't know.
Yeah, well, for example, I'm a member of the Palm Beach Yacht Club. I have been for about 20 years.
That's hard to get in.
And now there's a 5-year waiting list to get in.
Wow.
Yeah.
What is the initiation fee for such places?
It depends. It depends. Like a nice country club, golf country club, you're going to pay around 350,000 initiation fee just to get in.
But those are outside of Wellington.
Yeah, those are outside of Wellington. Well, they are developing a new country club
Let's
in
get
Wellington.
to that subject.
Yeah, that's there's a group that have purchased a golf course that was in the Palm Beach Polo Club, and they're going to redevelop it, build a new clubhouse, and then I understand that the initiation fee will be $350,000 for that.
And how many houses are they planning to build in this development?
That's undetermined, I think, at the moment. Yeah, they carved out about 90 some acres of the equestrian preserve. They're going to build, I think, 3 or 4 different neighborhoods of patio homes mostly, and some townhomes. And then they'll have a golf course, again, yeah, an estate section. So we'll see how that evolves, but that's coming. It's definitely coming.
Robin, can you pull up the issue magazine and show us some of these extraordinary equestrian properties that capture the imagination and have made Wellington so famous? And you can perhaps walk us through as she flips through the book. Maybe you could describe why each one is so special.
This particular farm is probably the most beautiful barn that's been built in Wellington. It's known as La Victoria. It's on over 7 acres and it has 28 stalls. I think you can see in the photo of the stalls, it has a beautiful dome ceiling of wood. It has an extravagant, the picture on the bottom right is an owner's office, and there's an owner's lounge as well. The owner's office is on the bottom, and that has a terrace that overlooks the private arena, which you can see on the top right is the riding arena. And that was built by Rene Alonso, did the construction, and he's a builder in Palm Beach who builds basically estate homes. So I would say that this barn was built as well as any estate home in Palm Beach.
In what year was this built?
Windows. Pardon?
What year was this built, more or less?
I want to say it was built in around 2013, 14. And yeah, and it was built like a home, and then the design as well, like they used special roof tiles that were authentically Mediterranean, and they did Marvin windows, and they did tankless hot water heaters. So they brought things into a stable. They have marble floors in the bathroom that are fitting of the style. So everything was sort of nicely done to match a classic Mediterranean look, and it's been well maintained. It's a special farm. It's across the street directly, pretty much, from the showgrounds.
And this is currently on the market, this thing?
Yeah, this is listed.
And what, for how much?
21,500,000.
Is that a deal?
Depends on who you ask.
Yeah, it depends on who you ask. I mean, it doesn't have a grand estate home. It's really an estate for horses. There is a nice, comfortable home on the property with a beautiful pool. It's a 4-bedroom, but it does not come with a mansion.
And the buyer for this will be potentially foreign or no?
Potentially, yes, but not necessarily.
Not necessarily, yeah.
And somebody, a very serious equestrian. And perhaps an equestrian, a lot of times we get families where the mother rides dressage and the daughters ride jumpers, or the father plays polo and the kids. So with the 28 stalls, you can accommodate comfortably a good amount of horses. And it's designed actually for renting well. So there's 2 separate aisles of 14 stalls, each with their own private tack room, feed room, bathroom. The amenities in this stable are really beautiful. So they do rent it for top dollar.
It's a very pretty place.
Yeah, I mean, it's listed for 21.5 and they got, I think, 21,500 per stall for the season, which is pretty good. And that's not counting apartments and everything.
Should we go to the
you
next
gonna
one?
Bring your horses down.
All 28 of them.
There you go.
This is an interesting little this is a sweet property. These people were Canadian. They built this for their daughters. The house they custom built, and that again is a bit Mediterranean, but very clean. I think they had a builder do all the exterior work and the shell work, and then they personally contracted out the interior. And it's very clean and nicely done, every detail. It's about a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, and then the stable, in order to max out the renting, they built a really nice 16-stall center aisle barn with 8 stalls on each side, so that they can, and each side has a tack room and a feed room. And then they built a very nice garage with a 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartment above. And the garage is actually big enough to stable horses. So in an event when you have an overflow one year, it's got windows, you can actually put temporary stalls in the garage. And
So
that is
that's
also
on-
walking distance to the show.
That's on how much property and how much is the price?
I think that's 7,450, and it's on about 2.5 acres. So it's a very condensed property.
Yep.
It's for somebody coming in, in and out. They have 5 paddocks and an area where you can lunge the horses to get their bucks out on a line. And a beautiful pool area, which I don't have a photo of on this, but it has a beautiful pool area that overlooks the paddocks with a fire pit. And
So if let's just say this pretty much checks my boxes, right?
Mhm.
How many other comparable properties right now could I see that I might have to choose from in this
I
category?
want to say there's about 5 others right now.
About 5 others.
Yeah.
5?
At that quality, yeah.
Well, at that quality, I don't know what you can get. So it depends what they're looking for. I think the quality on this is really good. Somebody may be looking for a little more land.
Mhm.
Others, if you're coming and going, this is a great property because it's newer, it's been well maintained, it's easy to lock and go. So it depends. If you're looking to stay here longer, you might want a little more land. And it's a nice neighborhood right there in that pocket. That's a neighborhood called Saddle Trail. They do not have an HOA, but it's close to the horse show. And you must have a house. That's the zoning for that. You must have a house. You can't just have a barn.
Right.
I mean, Roberto keeps asking about, like, is this dependent on foreign buyers? Roberto, Bill Gates' family, is famously into horses. Mike Bloomberg's famously into horses. A lot of Sylvester Stallone, a lot of these people that we know from a lot of these people we know from New York go to Wellington when they're not here. And I have to say, I want to point out another thing. I love this quote from a Wellington agent who said, these people, quote unquote, these people never run out of money. I think there is an emotional connection between one and the horse that is not present in, say, the yacht club. I mean, people like their boat, but they love their horse. They like their fancy car, but they love their horse. And for your horse, there's nothing you won't do for your horse. And if Wellington represents the very best that I can do for my horse that I love and want to spend time with, then I'm going to invest in Wellington. Am I getting that right? I mean, you talked about being a member of the yacht club, and I have a boat. I like my boat, but people who have a horse talk about visiting that horse every day for hours, and they don't just
It's
pick
an
up.
addiction. They call it an addiction.
And they don't
They're up
leave
with,
and
they're
just
up
like
with the sun.
leave the
They're up with the
horse.
sun.
The horse comes first.
The
And a
horse
lot of
comes.
the parents a lot of the parents will do anything for the horse crazy child. So then we have double duty, that the parents want to make the child happy and the child wants to make the horse happy. And the horses, it's a special language that the people in Wellington speak. I think maybe with boating, you all speak yacht language, but with horses, it's a common bond and a common language. And we all know what the other one's talking about, even if they're from another country.
I think so I want to hear from you as a realtor. What I'm hearing is a much more emotional decision than in other markets, where I'm thinking about the number of square feet and the dollars per foot. It occurs to me that for the horse crowd, it's a very emotional decision to sell it, to buy the next one, to upgrade. So what is it like selling and being a broker in such a market and trying to help people navigate that decision?
Well, I mean, it's relatively easy because, there was a statistic once that a lot of people who buy a home will keep it for 5 years and then kind of move on to something else where they'll either upgrade, downgrade, or they'll move away. So we're kind of quite used to that happening in our market, where people will decide to leave for whatever reason. Maybe their child's not going to show anymore, or they're going to relocate to another area. So those are just, we're just kind of used to that market. And obviously we have to educate them on what the market is today, because what the market is 5 years ago, whatever, will not be the same what the market is today. Because the market kind of is its own animal, and we have to go by what's happening in the current market. And it was just about a matter of educating people on that.
And I'd like to add that as far as people being emotionally tied to their horses, more often than not, when we're showing properties, we have a delay because they're waiting for the veterinarian, and the world stops until the vet gets there and tells them what's wrong with their horse, or a special blacksmith. So I joke with my friends who's a veterinarian. I said, I spend my life waiting for you, and I know you're going to be late because they're so busy.
It just occurs to me that there's a dynamic going on in your market that is not true in New York, Greenwich, Nantucket, where people are very portable and they move in and out of their real estate, where we have a dynamic here with a horse that says that is going to be very sticky. And so if I'm thinking about whether the Wellington market is vulnerable to a real estate crash, is Wellington vulnerable to people picking up and going to the next horse show down the street? It seems to me that there's an innate reluctance to make the change because of the horse.
Well, and because now the horse show owns the showgrounds. So as long as the horse show owns the showgrounds, then the riders are all comfortable owning a place here. For years, they were renting the grounds and everybody rented.
Yeah.
Those days in Palm Beach Polo, very few people bought. But once the horse show grounds was purchased, people said, listen, this is where I spend the majority of nights in the bed in Wellington. I may as well buy a place here. I'm going to be here for a while. So yes, as long as that stays, they'll stay. If for some reason that was gone, yes, they would be gone.
And because they're staying, and because of the wealth of the people that are here, we're kind of a little bit immune to some of the economic factors in other neighborhoods and other areas of Florida.
Yeah.
What about for the non-horse people? Is there anything to do? Any good restaurants? Any other?
No good restaurants. But there's sports. There's golf, pickleball, tennis.
Yeah, there are some good restaurants. They're all packed. You can't just walk into a restaurant here this time of year and expect to get a table. If you don't have a reservation, you're not getting a table.
I'll bet you can. I bet you have been there since 1978.
You can go to the yacht club. We're on
Well, yeah, I tell you, you hit a good point, because there are people that are here year round that support these restaurants, and of course the staff sees you, knows you, and yeah, you can get away with certain things that maybe other people can't in these restaurants as a year-round resident.
So,
And I think that's anywhere.
so put it on the crystal ball. Tell us, where is this heading? I hear about a great deal of growth over the last 6 years. We're now at a point, I don't know, maybe a transition point where it's a little bit more balanced. You've talked about two different markets where Wellington's evolving into a year-round instead of seasonal market, much more dependent on good schools and a more rounded out economy. But yet they've made tremendous investments in new construction. You've talked about several new gated communities, and you've talked about the fact that they're immune from some of the other market forces affecting the rest of Florida. What's your prediction for the next 10 years?
You think that development is going to happen?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's only, we've had this discussion 10 years ago. We had this discussion 20 years ago. And, there's no one has a crystal ball, of course. But as the market it evolves, and we've had the ups and downs just like everything else, and always it's the end of our market. But you know what? It just seems to prevail, and it just keeps going and going and going and going. And I would have to say that it's going to continue to grow until there's just no more growth available.
And especially, I think, with what's going on in West Palm Beach with the banks and Vanderbilt and healthcare, everybody moving, I think that anybody who wants some space, Wellington is commutable to West Palm. So we'll see where that goes. I'll be curious to see if these really ultra fancy country club and golf course will survive with the new construction, where that will go, because this is definitely seasonal. But most of Florida, those clubs are seasonal. Most of the golf clubs that cost more than $300,000 a year are seasonal, all around South Florida. So this, I guess, will be along with that.
I can imagine it's pretty quiet there in July.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially in Wellington, because we're not near the beach. It's interesting because that's the time of year when I can go to the beach. So we like it. We can go to all the restaurants, we can go to the beach, there's no traffic, they have specials.
That's the time of year everyone in Wellington goes on vacation.
Yeah.
Because it's hot.
Yeah. We'll be visiting you.
All right, so I got one more question, and maybe a little bit self-serving, but what is your advice for somebody coming into Wellington, picking a realtor? The first thing I heard was that you've been there since 1979, before Wellington was cool. And you, Mark, you've been there since 1986, way before Wellington was important. And so it occurs to me that's what I want. I want somebody who's been part of the community since before it was cool, and who can get me into opportunities that maybe the brand new agent can't. Would you say that's fair? What am I looking for in an agent, and what should I be looking for in a property?
Well, I'll tell you that Martha has a number of connections, and everyone knows Martha. And I've been around a long time too, so everyone knows me. So I think they look towards us maybe more than other people, because we do have a history and we do know everyone. We have working relationships with many realtors that's come and gone. So we can pick up a phone quickly and say, hey, you got something coming up that's not on the market yet, because we have the relationship and we've built this relationship over many years with many other people. So I think that a realtor or a person would look at an agent like that and say, yeah, I want to go with Martha because she can, probably find what we want, whether it's on the market or not.
But Mark knows every statistic, every number, and he's very detail oriented. So he's also a pleasure to work with. And in fact, we leverage each other a lot. We help each other a lot because Mark's very detail oriented. He knows everything. Everything's in order. His listings are ready to show. Lights are on. Everything's clean, even if he has to get there a day ahead. So
did you hear that, Roberto? Did you hear the benefit of working with an outstanding partner where you have the analytical one and the connected one, the one who can, dream with you and who can break down the cost per foot? I mean, Roberto, are you learning anything from this dynamic?
I know that Wellington exists now. That's a
Yeah,
big.
there you go.
Yeah.
Well, I think I
We
want
did
to
our job.
express my sincere gratitude for you two coming. I mean, you two are fantastic guests, and I just want to thank you for joining us today, sharing your wisdom. I mean, I really feel like I have a very good understanding of Wellington. I knew it was a horse related town in Florida. I didn't know that its ties to Palm Beach before today and how it's evolved into its own community, quite apart from the Palm Beach crowd now, although Mark splits his time between the yacht club and the horse club. So some people with a foot in both camps. But I really do feel like I got a very good understanding of Wellington today and two markets, the year-round market and the seasonal market, and how the seasonal market's changed.
Yeah.
If you love everything about real estate like we do, like Roberto and I do, help spread the word, click the like and share buttons, and tell your friends, and send this to a friend. And please take a moment to review our show on your favorite podcast platform. Next week, Roberto, we're doing sports marketing with the folks out of Texas, NFL stars in Texas. Are you excited? I'm excited.
Sure. Can I just point out that when you said your anecdote about people having like endless amounts of money, coincidentally, Scott popped on.
I know. When I think of endless amounts of money, I think Scott builds for those people. Scott, by the way, Martha, I want to introduce you to Scott Hobbs. When I said Bloomberg, yeah, Scott built his house. So you can name any like fabulously wealthy, famous person, and Scott's probably built his house. So
I built every last one of them. No exceptions.
Nice.
Sure, we did.
You heard your cue.
It was great hearing about the about Wellington and really kind of it seems like an awesome community and I always come away from these podcasts learning a lot more about places I didn't know a whole lot about. So thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Since you're on, I'm going to ambush you with a question. I remember a couple years ago, maybe it's 10 by this point, but I said, are you working on any fabulous projects? And you talked about a 60 stall horse barn that you were building in Connecticut.
It was 75 for prize Fresnians.
Fresnians.
Fresnian, all jet black horses.
Yeah.
And biggest post and beam, a massive post and beam structure, and was very fun to do and gorgeous house. A gorgeous
Fair
property.
to say it cost more than $20 million? More than?
It was actually, time flies. It was actually 25 years ago. So it was definitely less than that.
Okay.
How many acres was that on? Just curious. Do you know?
I think it was like 80 to 100, something like that. It was in upstate Connecticut. And so farm country and beautiful location and very nice. You couldn't quite do that in Greenwich, but.
And so is our conclusion accurate where we say horse people are different from you and me and they have different needs and different drivers?
I think they have a very important one.
All right. We'll leave it at that. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Mark. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's our pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Roberto.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Thank
You made it all the way from Manhattan and you're back in the saddle again. No pun intended.
Back in God's country, Connecticut.
I actually drove past John on my way to my office as he was walking into his. And we're both on the same podcast. So it's kind of funny.
That's what it's like to live in a small town.
It is.
Bye, everybody.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
Enjoy.
Bye.